this. So two things. First, what Bitcoin? How much did it correct? We didn't hit 85%? What was it?
75.
75. It doesn't mean you have to hit 85, but I get your
See, you
point.
think that, but there's actually a really big difference between 75 and 85. And so this is another one of these thought leader things where I got to teach everyone the way to see this. When I tell you that Bitcoin dropped 75, Ethereum dropped 85, Hex dropped 95, I make them look all similar. But I can do the opposite of that as well. And they're both true. So I'm going to do the opposite for you. When something drops 75, you've got 25 left. When something drops 85, you've only got 15 left. The difference between 15 and 25 is like an extra 50%. When something drops 95 instead of 85, you only got 5 left instead of 15. That's an extra 3x that you have to go to make up the difference. That's an extra 66% dump. And so while 85 and 95 sound quite similar, in reality, you're left with 5 instead of 15. The 85 is 3 times better than the 95. And so what you
And
have to
another
do,
thing, go ahead, sorry,
so you
man.
have to invert, what you have to do is you have to look at the inverse and then reason about the inverse. Now, it's still very useful to think that they're small because usually the thing that dumps more, if it has product market fit, overcomes a 3x very easily, at least, in Hex's terms historically. So, but it's important to show these things accurately, right? Like I could frame it in the big way or the small way. You might as well just know that both exist. So you don't get caught in any cognitive traps, you're aware of both.
And then there's the other argument that, and I say this to a lot of people, and people that bought Luna when it dropped 95%, what they don't understand is if something drops 95%, it doesn't mean it can't drop another 95% and another 95%.
So
And
that was a
that's,
weird
look,
one. That had a reflexive property of inflating supply on the way down that the vast
that's what I'm
majority of
saying.
coins do not have. The vast majority of alts just die 95 and stay at 95 until they pump again, like Doge, if they have
But yeah,
product market fit. If they're straight
they're the
scams,
one.
they just go to zero and stay.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. So scams. So when you're sitting on your bags and you think, I was talking to a bunch of NFT guys earlier. Again, I love the NFT community, but I was talking to one of their investors, and they're like, "Yeah, we're just waiting for the market to pick up and get my bags to pump." I'm just telling them like, a small percentage of projects will do extremely well in the next bull run. Again, product market fit, but the ones that don't have product market fit or shitty team or shitty founder, if they drop 95%, doesn't mean they'll pump in the bull market. They'll drop another 95, another 95 until zero. So just a reminder,
Well, yeah,
Luna
like
is an
holding a scam longer just gets you wrecked more. That
exactly.
I cannot express. It's like look at the metrics, right? Are you on ramping new users? Is the sales pitch remaining the same? Do you have a durable moat or walled garden? Are the fundamentals getting better? And I think for a lot of these things, like so, for instance, okay, what was the first NFT project? CryptoKitties. Okay.
Yep.
Well, if I truthfully, I don't know how well they did, and I don't know how wrecked they are now. And I think it would be very useful to know that if you're trying to predict how wrecked the stuff is now versus how it could be, and then how likely it would be to maybe get back again in the future. I think that it would be useful to know that. I also think that you have opportunity cost. Like even if you buy something that goes up, is it the thing that is going to go up the most? I'm about the mad gains, not the medium gains, the mad gains.
Yeah, but the more you're aiming for those big gains, the riskier it is because you can just buy blue chips and be happy with a few X's. But if you're looking for the next 1000X, it's going to be a bunch of them going to zero before you land 1000X. So it is a
Maybe
tricky balance.
maybe the recipe is to go with founders that have a history of doing
Fair.
1000x and 10,000x stuff. Maybe, I don't know, but I am
Gary,
biased because I did a 10,000x. So
congratulations for that. Gary, I know you have a hand up, man, and good to have you.
Yeah, love the show. Love it when you have Richard on. Really appreciate that, Richard. Thank you very much for Hacks. Really excited about Pulse, all that good jazz. Just wanted to come up on stage real quick and slight correction. The first NFT project out there, pre
Is
CryptoPunk NFT, is
the
ENS.
frog?
Nope,
Oh
nope.
yeah,
It's
shit. I forgot. Yeah.
ENS Ethereum Name Service, which I know Richard's not the biggest fan of, but
I hate
is
it.
yeah, but is the smart contract for the .eth names is completely without admin keys on the blockchain, And if you the only thing you got to worry about is your name expiring, and the only attack vectors if the DAO was attacked and the prices did increase. But yeah, just get your Web3 username app.ens.domains. You could learn more about your ENS
I got
name.
a
First
we did a
NFT
segment,
project.
Gary. We did a segment on ENS domains a few weeks ago. I actually bought a
Oh,
3-digit ENS domain live. So
congrats.
but I don't like Richard. What's the other
So
side? Like, why do you hate him?
sure. Okay. So you have smart contract risk. When you just have someone send to an address, you don't have any smart contract risk. You generated the address. You have your own entropy. You're not worried about some centralized entity jacking it. Now, okay, what if I go to the people that are the country of Ethiopia and I negotiate with them to take over the .eth domain? And now the dum-dums, they go and type your .eth, right? Like Vitalik.eth, they go type it into the URL. Now they're going to go to a website I control. Is that a good idea? Should we be training our users that they should be typing in .eth things in the browser? It has a totally different mechanism by which it operates than any other actual top layer domain name because Ethiopia owns ETH and Ethereum and nothing associated with it does, which is why you don't go and type hashtag ETH on Twitter and see an Ethereum logo. You see an Ethiopia logo for a year. Now I think it expired. They didn't renew it, but you're not going to see an Ethereum one because Ethiopia owns it. So I don't like the counterparty risk. I don't like someone else getting rich selling something that I own. Okay. So let's say I own richardhart.com and now someone registers richardhart.eth. Oh, now they're squatting my name that I built the brand for, that I invented. They're violating my rights. I have to beg some company to assign me my URL. I don't like any of that. I don't like someone else getting rich on my name. And what happens now if I at one time did control the stupid thing, which doesn't even work when you paste it in a browser and has smart contract risk, but let's say magically that I did own it for a little while and I lose my keys or I get hacked. Now what do? Now the hackers get paid on that forever because instead of doing the smart thing, the intelligent thing, the thing that we all invented from the first place, which is people's name and number by social consensus, and then you send to it, sometimes with a test transaction and then a verification to make sure that there was no man in the middle attacks. Sometimes not, but like the cryptocurrency was invented to get rid of counterparties. And this is an entity that's getting rich as a counterparty. Cryptocurrency was invented to remove middlemen. This is a middleman, and it trains people to do the wrong thing. And I hate everything about it. And in addition to that, one of the founders about that villainizes and demonizes me for reasons I don't really understand. So I don't like anything about it, and you don't like it. It seems terrible to me. Why is someone else getting rich on squatting this new fake TLD, which isn't even TLD? It disgusts me. It makes no sense.
Yeah, Richard, you bring up a lot of good points, and a lot of those same points that you're leading about this, you could say about Twitter, you could say about Web2 protocols. What it comes down to is that you bring up a lot of like really really valid concerns. Some of those valid concerns are have been addressed. Some of those valid concerns are in the process of being addressed. And if people do things incorrectly, then there's no helping them, because if somebody does get their wallet hacked, then yeah, maybe they lose their NFTs, maybe they lose their blockchain identity, their ENS name. They also lose, all the coins in that wallet and a lot of other situations like that. What it comes down to is that the human readable blockchain based naming layer, ENS protocol is out there in a way that has, no, there is a token, but there's no VCs. It's built on builders. It's out there that is the most decentralized human readable naming system that's allowing people to create identities and to add on a human, readable layer. And it does add, it's true, it does add a layer of, like, uh, a layer of things to know, a layer of risk in the middle. If things, it can be seen as being safer as just using, someone's IP address as opposed to, using their domain name. But, I mean, with some of the problems like the .eth, the ENS believes in a responsible naming space. So the only decentralized naming is the .eth. It is, taken out of the DNS space. And at the same time, it's forward compatible with ICANN, which means that other people can play. But in terms of the blockchain-based people, Web3 people, and I'm also not a big fan. You mentioned a lot of points in there, Richard. I'm also not a fan of the squatters. The squatters aren't fun. and it's not cool when we're squatting on the names. And
But yeah,
what I
so
can
you
say
can,
is once you
in
do
terms of
secure
the,
your name, once you do,
go
and
ahead,
I'll
sorry.
say this, once you do secure your name and you secure your crypto and your NFTs properly, then that name is yours, and then you have an identity. And then, you know, if you follow best practices, it just gives you a layer of opportunity. And even though there are legitimate risks that Richard and I can talk
Because I
about,
gotta tell you, for a guy representing something I hate, I like you. You seem great. Like, you know, you seem, you don't, you took every concern I had and addressed it and realized it was there and maybe agreed with some. And like, look, I understand security convenience trade-offs. I think people should be allowed to make them. And I try to, like, there's so many things we build in Hex people don't realize, you know, all these things out there like Uniswap, you have to authorize it, the contract to spend your funds. You have to authorize the Uniswap's contract to spend your funds. And God forbid you authorize a fake one, a proxied one, and then they change it, and now you just lose all your funds. And so that design mechanism of having people authorize contracts to do things is actually a terrible thing to train your users to do. And so what we do in our system is there is no authorizing a contract to do anything ever at all. And so if you go to remove all the permissions imaginable, it doesn't harm your experience with Hex at all because we use message sender every single time as the verification method. And we never use a contract to do things on your behalf and empty you. And so training users with superior design parameters and superior behaviors is like the best we can do to help stupid people make good decisions.
well,
So
let me give you one cool security feature that the ENS names have is that the ENS names have two Ethereum address records. One of those records is the owner of the address, and then the second record is the controller of the address. And so the name that owns the NFT is not the same address that has the ability to make updates to that record. So the address that you're using to update the records and connect to things, if that gets hacked, just because they theoretically could change the fields and the data fields in the ENS name, they would not be able to change control. So there's a lot of cool
can I ask
benefits
you a
with that.
question?
Yeah, of course.
What happens with pulsechain?
What happens with pulsechain, or fast forward to what I
Well,
hope happens?
pulsechain.com is a
I
full
know
fork of the
exactly.
Ethereum
Yep,
system state.
I know exactly. Yeah, what's going to
Right.
happen
So
obviously is
what
that there's going to be a duplicate of all the ENS tokens. There's going to be a duplicate copy of all the ENS blockchain domain names, and just like everything else, like it's going to be interesting to see
so
what
is it going to
happens with.
break or is it going to work?
No,
Do
it's
you
gonna.
have a
No, it's gonna.
decentralized IPFS front end or
No,
is it all kind of fake DeFi centralized or?
No, everyone's going to choose which contract that people look to as the ultimate source of truth, for things. And they may bridge, some things like ERC20 tokens are going to bridge over, and they're all going to become ubiquitous. And other things like the Bored Apes and NFT projects and ENS names, ENS is more of a protocol than it is an NFT project. It's a protocol. It's, top of the stack development layer of blockchain naming and identity. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, people are going to have to choose,
Well, I mean,
ERC20s are
so
going to
what
be
it sounds
liquid,
like,
but
to
contracts are going
me
to have to
is that
figure
it's
it
going to
out.
work fine. So let me take a stab at it because I'm literally I usually have everything figured out. I do not have this figured out. I'm figuring this out with you right now because you know more about ENS than I do. It sounds like, or my gut feeling is the majority of places people actually use ENS is in MetaMask. And if MetaMask didn't handle the .eth suffix the way that you wanted them to and point to the contract you wanted them to, it wouldn't work at all. And so in actuality, the centralization part of making ENS work is begging MetaMask to say, hey, when someone types .eth at the end, can you please point to this contract, which we consider to be authoritative, pretty please? And so
So
as long
I could push
and
back on that a little bit because what's going to happen is that there's going to be a standard with Ethereum called the EIP 4361, which is going to be the signed
okay.
with Ethereum standard. And then everyone, when they come to blockchain, instead of all their devs figuring out, oh man, how do I do this thing where I connect with MetaMask and I connect with the wallet? There's going to be a standard, which is the
Okay.
IP 4361.
No, but I'm
And
not trying to dog you on this one.
no,
Okay,
me neither. Me
like
neither. So
this
I'm
is like
saying when
minimal.
that
This
standard,
is the minimum abstraction. Like everyone's using MetaMask, you have to beg MetaMask to do stuff. Like it's okay. So my point is like if that is the case, that really the only reason ENS works is because MetaMask lets it work with a setting in their
no, I'm
code that
saying that's
says
not. I'm saying that's not the case.
no,
I'm saying that.
but it is now. Like before that EAP rolls out, it is now, right? But that's
Well, no,
good. Listen,
what
that's
you'd have
this
to see
current
Richard
system
in
state
terms of
makes pulsechain run
percentages.
better, is what I'm saying. Because I think what will happen is if you just change the network you're on, MetaMask still thinks that Pulse Chain is actually Ethereum. It's just another fork of it. And therefore, I think that people's .eth domains on Pulse Chain will still point to that contract, which is also deployed on Pulse Chain. So I think it will just work. I don't think it's going to break. I think ENS will work on Pulse Chain
I
by default right
99
now.
point, yeah,
You can test it right now. I think it works.
100%.
My guess.
Like I'm
Yeah.
99% sure that it not only works, but like
Well, that's nice.
ENS is blockchain cross blockchain compatible, blockchain agnostic,
Sweet.
and ENS will work on Pulse Chain. And what I'm saying is that let it be Pulse Chain or
because you understand a lot
or,
of stuff will not work on Pulse Chain if it's fake DeFi and requires you to beg somebody to change something somewhere, right? Like Compound and like their liquidation bots, they need to be told, hey, go liquidate on this chain. And like their front ends need to be told, hey, go look at this chain too. And so the fake DeFi stuff, or at least, not totally. I like the stuff that just works, right? Like Uniswap just works. Hex just works. It seems like ENS is just going to work. I like stuff that when you do an honest fork, that it just works.
So when you say it just works, there's two different things that meaning it just works. There's one thing where the smart contracts are going to continue to run on the Pulse fork version of the system. Yeah. And then, but at the same time, that the fork obviously creates a fork, not just into a new Pulse chain, but also then
but users decide. Users decide what network they're on. Like you're So as long
so my hope
there's two different universes, and the users decide which one's authoritative.
And devs, users and devs, two different constituents that get a say. And so
and MetaMask, MetaMask could break either of these at will.
Yeah, well, there's the Ethereum standards and the EIPs and how that goes, because then it breaks everybody. But MetaMask breaking would then break everybody who wants to play with MetaMask. So MetaMask would hurt himself if they did that. But
hey, MetaMask banned one of my URLs once. Yeah. So literally anyone that had MetaMask installed, when they would go to one of my URLs, I think it was pulsex or pulse chain, I don't remember which. They banned it, and you're like, hey guys, why'd you do that? Oops, and then they unbanned it, but you're like, oh. The ugly head of centralization has popped up here. Unfortunate, Yeah,
it's a 0-day attack. Once they did that, they showed everybody that they could do that, and I think a lot of pseudo DeFi is being shown as as we're seeing with Tornado Cash and things like that. And some people are learning where's the difference between a back end smart contract and a front end interface.
Yep.
I digress. When Pulse Chain launches,
I like you, dude. Who are you? What do you do again? You seem smart. You're fun to talk to.
Well, I have a marketing technology business with my wife, ada.eth. Otherwise known as Unfolded Life. We just launched web3domains.com. We're really into Ethereum and Web3 and Pulse Chain, and we're both old school hexers, day 3 hexers.
Epic.
Because day 1 and 2 wasn't very smart, but day 3.
I told everybody. I told them.
Did. Well, we listened to you because.
Thank you, man.
It was just when everyone says one thing, and I just like validating things, and I couldn't find proof of what people were saying, and then I took a risk, and that risk paid off for me.
People don't realize how many smart hexagons there are, man. There's geniuses up in our joint, dude. I love hexagon. I had no idea you were a hexagon. That's
neither me. So Gary, you were in the ENS section as well a few weeks ago, so I appreciate coming back. I didn't know you're the guy behind Web3 domains, and I didn't know you're a hex. What is it? A hexagon. So it's
I'm everything DeFi. I'm everything Web3. I love Ethereum. I love Pulse Chain. I love Hex. I love the Bored Apes. I love ENF.
You should have been.
Everybody in here. I thought
Gary should have been on the. No, you should have been on the show. No, not that one. They should have been on the show with Richard and Bitcoin is debate. It's probably the biggest show we've had. We had 75,000.
I was in the room. Yeah.
I wish you went up. I wish you went up and spoke, man, because you're pretty well spoken. But yeah, I'll let you hit up Richard privately, and I just want to give you.
Richard and I have DMs together on Telegram. If he checks his Telegram for Gary Palmer Jr., I'm Gary Palmer Jr.
Oh shit! Yeah, I recognize that name. You have a PFP of a monkey, I think.
Yeah, some people dig it, and I dig it, and listen, I have been nothing but helped by Richard and Richard's free book. And Richard's community, which is partly my community. And on the Ethereum side of things, my hope is that everybody looks into ENS domains and secures their decentralized you know, .eth name, because although you know, like if you want more privacy, maybe you have an address with no ENS name. But if you do want a public identity, once you secure your public identity with your .eth name, then you can add your. I don't have it set up this way right now, but once pulsechain comes out, I'll be able to receive pulse tokens with my ENS name. I'll be able to receive Bitcoin.
So
Just
Gary,
everything.
quick question, man. Can you what do you think about the three? I need to end this discussion, but I'm curious. The 3-digit flex, 3-digit.eth, which is the one I bought on the show a few weeks ago.
Some people might think it's stupid, but scarcity is really cool, and people like scarcity. And there's a huge network effect on both the number of people purchasing ENS names and the number of apps and dApps that are integrating login.xyz in the Web3 protocol. And so as ENS becomes more popular, and you know, we just hit 2 million names in 8 days, we just added on 100,000 new names. So a lot of names, a lot of apps, dApps adding on signing with Ethereum. So that's creating this network effect, and the numbers are only going to increase with the decentralized, you know, version. There's only 1,000 of those names, and then what's more is that everyone needs to realize it doesn't matter if it's an emoji, a number, or a word. Every word, every letter put together into a word is a symbol. You know, it's all every symbol is a meme, and every meme has value. And so, therefore, every number has value. There's only 1,000 of them, and there's only 10,000 4 digits, and there's only 100,000, you know, or not, you know, 90,000 5 digits. You know what I mean? So forth. So scarcity is cool, and ENS names are NFTs with real utility. It's not just an NFT; it's a protocol.
Pixelord, I know
Yo,
I saw you on me. You wanted to speak, man?
yeah, I was gonna say I got some